Hello there. Tonight we'll step into an ancient whispering wood, where the very air shimmers with forgotten magic, and the trees themselves hold secrets as old as time. Imagine the soft, cool touch of moss underfoot, the gentle rustle of leaves like 1,000 hushed voices, and the faint, sweet scent of earth and damp leaves swirling around you. It's a place where the moon's silver light filters through a dense canopy, painting the forest floor in shifting patterns of light and shadow, inviting you deeper into its peaceful embrace. Before you settle in comfortably, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below with your location and what time it is where you are. You'll see just how many others are awake with you tonight. You're not alone in the dark. Now dim the lights, climb into bed, pull the blanket up, release all tension, and let go of every thought. Just focus on tonight's journey. It began, as so many profound journeys do, with a whisper. Not a sound carried on the wind, but a knowing deep within, a gentle tugging at the edges of my awareness. For weeks, the same image had recurred in my dreams. An ancient forest, impossibly green, shrouded in a mist that seemed to hum with unseen energy. The trees were unlike any I had ever seen, their branches reaching skyward like gnarled wise arms, their leaves a spectrum of emerald and jade. And at the heart of this dreamscape, I sensed a presence, ancient and benevolent, a quiet call that resonated with something long dormant within me. It wasn't a demanding summons, but rather an invitation, soft as a sigh, persistent as a tide. One crisp evening, as the twilight deepened and the stars began to prickle through the fading blue, the feeling intensified. I found myself drawn, almost without conscious thought, to the edge of the old wood that bordered our town. Everyone knew of the Whispering Woods, of course, but few ever ventured far beyond its periphery. Tales of its age, its impenetrable depths, and the strange, quiet magic it held were woven into the very fabric of local lore. Children were warned not to stray too close, yet they were also told stories of its hidden beauty, of ancient spirits and forgotten pathways. Tonight, however, the warnings held no sway. The invitation felt too personal, too profound to ignore. The air grew cooler as I approached the tree line, carrying the distinct scent of damp earth, rich loam, and something else, something faintly sweet and wild, like blooming night jasmine and ancient stone. The trees at the forest's edge stood tall and imposing, their dark silhouettes merging into a single, formidable wall against the bruised purple of the sky. A gentle breeze stirred the uppermost leaves, creating the very whispers that gave the woods their name, a soft, undulating murmur that seemed to welcome me. There was no gate, no obvious path, just a seamless transition from the familiar world to this boundary of the unknown. Taking a deep, settling breath, I stepped forward. The ground beneath my feet was surprisingly soft, covered in a thick carpet of fallen leaves and moss that cushioned each step. The light began to dim almost immediately, the dense canopy overhead filtering the last vestiges of twilight into a diffused emerald glow. It was as if I had crossed an invisible threshold, entering a world where time moved differently, where the sounds of the distant town faded into an indistinct hum, replaced by the symphony of the forest. The rustling of leaves was more pronounced here, a continuous, soothing whisper that wrapped around me like a comforting cloak. Twigs snapped softly underfoot, and the earthy scent intensified, pulling me deeper with every step. I felt no fear, only a profound sense of peace and a growing curiosity. It was as if every cell in my body recognized this place, as if I were returning to a long-forgotten home. The air was cool and fresh, tasting of rain and green growing things, invigorating yet calming all at once. The dream had been a mere echo. The reality of the whispering woods was far more encompassing, far more alive. I allowed myself to be guided by the quiet pull, letting go of any conscious direction, trusting the ancient forest to lead me where I needed to go. The mist, which had been a gentle presence at the forest's edge, thickened as I ventured deeper, swirling around my ankles and rising to my waist in soft tendrils. It wasn't a chilling mist, but rather a soft, embracing shroud, imbued with the scent of damp earth and ancient, undisturbed growth. Each breath I took felt cleaner, lighter, as if the very air itself held a restorative quality. The familiar sounds of the world outside, the distant hum of traffic, the faint barking of a dog receded, replaced by the hushed symphony of the woods. The rustle of leaves underfoot became the dominant sound, a gentle crunching that marked my progress, punctuated by the soft, almost imperceptible drip of dew from unseen branches. The path, if it could be called that, was not clearly defined. There were no worn tracks, no signs of human passage. Instead, it felt as though the forest itself was subtly guiding me, the mist parting just enough to reveal a moss-covered root here, a cluster of glowing fungi there, hinting at the easiest way forward. I found myself instinctively avoiding delicate ferns and shimmering webs, moving with a quiet reverence, as if I were a guest in a very old, very sacred hall. The trees here were truly magnificent, their trunks immense and draped in velvet green moss, their branches interwoven so tightly overhead that only slivers of moonlight managed to pierce the canopy. These shafts of light, when they did appear, seemed to dance in the mist, creating ethereal columns that faded as quickly as they appeared. With each step, the sense of being an outsider began to recede. The initial slight apprehension I had felt at entering such an ancient, fabled place was slowly replaced by a profound sense of calm. It was a stillness that seeped into my bones, quieting the usual chatter of my mind, allowing a different kind of awareness to surface. I noticed the intricate patterns of lichen on bark, the tiny, jewel-like droplets of water clinging to spider silk, the almost imperceptible movements of unseen forest creatures. My senses seemed to heighten, allowing me to perceive the subtle pulse of life that thrummed beneath the quiet surface of the woods. The ground was surprisingly even, a soft, yielding carpet that made walking feel effortless. There were no sudden dips or sharp rises, no treacherous roots to trip over, only a gentle undulation that flowed with the natural contours of the land. It was as if the forest itself was smoothing the way, making my journey as comfortable as possible. The air remained cool, but not cold, a refreshing temperature that encouraged deep, slow breaths. I could feel the tension I hadn't even realized I was holding in my shoulders begin to ease, my muscles relaxing with each unhurried step. This was a place for unwinding, for releasing, for simply being. As I moved deeper, the mist began to take on a faint, almost imperceptible luminescence. It wasn't bright enough to cast shadows, but rather a soft internal glow that seemed to emanate from the very essence of the forest. This gentle light made the surrounding trees appear even more majestic, their forms softened and blurred at the edges, like figures in an old, very cherished dream. The silence, too, was remarkable. It wasn't an empty, impressive silence, but a living one, filled with the gentle hum of unseen insects, the distant hoot of an owl, and the continuous, soothing murmur of the leaves. It was the sound of nature breathing, a deep, slow rhythm that invited me to match its pace. I noticed a slight shift in the air, a subtle increase in the sweet, wild fragrance that had drawn me in. It was mingled now with the earthy scent of mushrooms and the clean, crisp aroma of pine needles. The combination was intoxicating, filling my lungs with a sense of vitality and peace. I felt utterly safe, despite the deepening gloom and the unfamiliar surroundings. It was a safety born not of knowing the way, but of trusting the place, of sensing its benevolent nature. The trees seemed to lean in, their ancient forms like silent protectors watching over my journey. Sometimes a single drop of water would fall from an overhead leaf, landing softly on the moss with a barely audible plink, a tiny punctuation mark in the forest's quiet narrative. Other times, a faint, almost musical chattering would drift from the higher branches, suggesting the presence of small, nocturnal creatures going about their hidden lives. These sounds were never startling, only enhancing the feeling of being fully immersed in a living, breathing ecosystem. My eyes, adjusting to the low light, began to discern more detail. The delicate tracery of veins on a fallen leaf, the intricate patterns of bark, the subtle shifts in color from deep forest green to mutted brown. Every element of the forest contributed to a profound feeling of tranquility, drawing me further and further from the worries of the outside world, deeper into a comforting embrace. The deeper I went, the more the sense of time itself seemed to dissolve. Minutes could have been hours, or hours mere moments. There was no urgency here, no destination to rush towards, only the gentle, unfolding journey. I simply walked, breathed, and absorbed the quiet grandeur of the ancient wood. The mist continued its soft dance, sometimes swirling playfully round me, sometimes thinning to reveal a particularly striking tree or a patch of iridescent fungi. It was a gradual, beautiful descent into the heart of something truly ancient and deeply serene. As I continued my gentle progression into the heart of the ancient wood, a new sensation began to emerge, subtle at first, then growing more distinct, the whispers of the canopy. It wasn't the sound of wind rushing through leaves, though that familiar rustle was a constant, soothing backdrop. No, this was something more profound, a symphony of soft, overlapping murmurs that seemed to emanate directly from the interwoven branches high above. It felt as though the very trees themselves were communicating, their ancient voices carried on the currents of the cool, damp air. Each rustle and sigh seemed to carry a fragment of an ancient story, a snippet of an ancient secret, yet nothing was discernible, nothing concrete enough to grasp. It was more a feeling, an impression of vast knowledge shared amongst silent giants. Sometimes a long, drawn-out sigh would drift down, like a collective exhalation, immediately followed by a rapid, shimmering tremor through the leaves, as if a thought had been passed swiftly from one sentinel to the next. This rhythmic exchange was deeply calming, a lullaby woven from the very fabric of the forest. It made the air feel alive with unseen consciousness, yet entirely benevolent. I found myself pausing often, tilting my head back to gaze up into the impenetrable ceiling of leaves, trying to decipher the subtle nuances of their language. The moonlight, where it managed to penetrate, danced and flickered, creating shifting patterns that mimicked the flow of unseen currents. The light itself seemed to hum, vibrating with the same energy that permeated the air. It was a visual and auditory tapestry that enveloped me, drawing me deeper into the meditative state the forest induced. My own thoughts, usually so persistent, began to unravel and dissipate, replaced by the simple act of listening, of feeling, of being present. The aroma of the woods also seemed to intensify with these whispers. The initial sweet and earthy scent now carried faint undertones of something else, something subtly floral and almost metallic, like rain on ancient stone. It was a clean, pure fragrance that filled my lungs and seemed to cleanse my mind, leaving it clear and receptive. This deep sensory immersion made me feel utterly disconnected from the world I had left behind and profoundly connected to this one. Each step was lighter, each breath deeper. The ground continued to be soft and yielding, a thick carpet of moss and old leaves, interspersed with occasional patches of glistening, almost luminescent fungi. These small clusters glowed with a soft, otherworldly light, casting tiny, fleeting halos on the forest floor, acting like miniature guiding lights in the deepening twilight. They weren't bright enough to truly illuminate, but rather offered subtle hints, drawing my gaze downwards just enough to ensure my footing remained sure and unhurried. There was never a sense of urgency, only a gentle forward momentum, driven by the compelling allure of the forest's heart. As the whispers grew in their complexity, I started to notice subtle shifts in the flow of the mist. It seemed to undulate and swirl in response to the unseen communications above, creating soft eddies and currents around me. Sometimes a tendril of mist would curl around my arm, cool and ephemeral, like a soft caress, before dissolving back into the larger shimmering veil. It was as if the mist itself was a part of this vast, interconnected consciousness, responding to the silent conversations of the trees. This ethereal dance of mist and sound created an atmosphere of profound magic, hinting at wonders yet to be fully revealed.
My senses felt incredibly alive, yet completely unburdened. The soft chill of the air on my skin, the rich, complex scent filling my nostrils, the gentle soundscape of whispers and rustles, the shifting patterns of light and shadow, all combined to create an experience of total sensory absorption. I was no longer merely walking through the forest. I was becoming a part of it, my own rhythm slowing to match its ancient pulse. The usual anxieties and stresses that often lingered at the edges of my awareness simply melted away, replaced by an expansive sense of calm and well-being. The deeper I ventured, the more the feeling of safety became pronounced. It was an instinctive understanding that no harm could come to me here, that the forest itself was a benevolent protector. This sense of profound security allowed me to fully surrender to the experience, to let go of any lingering thoughts of the outside world and simply float on the gentle current of the forest's magic. The murmurs of the canopy above seemed to weave themselves into a continuous lullaby, a soft, comforting song that promised rest and solace. I felt a deep, profound gratitude for this unexpected journey, for the invitation to step into such a sacred and tranquil space. Every fiber of my being was relaxing, unwinding, settling into the profound quietude of the ancient wood, preparing for whatever gentle wonders lay ahead.
As the soft, even, easy-to-listen male voice, like a fairy tale teller helping others fall asleep, as the soft, ancient murmurs of the canopy continued to weave their spell, I became aware of a new captivating element emerging from the deepening shadows of the forest floor, the glimmering path. It wasn't a defined trail, but rather a series of subtle, intermittent glows that seemed to appear and fade, guiding me gently forward. These were not artificial lights, but the soft, ethereal luminescence of bioluminescent flora, scattered like tiny jewels amongst the moss and fallen leaves. Small clusters of fungi glowed with a cool emerald light, while delicate tendrils of moss shimmered with an almost internal blue-white radiance. Occasionally, a whole patch of tiny bell-shaped flowers would pulse with a faint violet hue, as if breathing in unison with the forest itself. These were not bright, startling flashes, but gentle, diffused glows that softened the darkness without dispelling it, creating an otherworldly enchantment. The effect was mesmerizing, like walking through a dreamscape where light itself was a living, breathing entity. Each time a glow appeared, it seemed to offer just enough illumination to confirm my next step, to reveal a particularly smooth patch of ground, or to highlight a twisted route that might otherwise have been a stumble. There was no need to strain my eyes. The light was always there, just ahead, a subtle invitation. It felt less like being led and more like being accompanied, with the forest itself gently illuminating the way for its guest. The air remained cool and incredibly fresh, carrying the intensified scent of rich earth and the unique, clean aroma of the glowing flora, a scent that was sweet and faintly metallic like cool moonlight.
I found myself moving with an effortless grace, my footsteps silent on the cushioned earth. The light seemed to flow and shift around me, sometimes pooling in a small hollow, sometimes tracing the intricate pattern of a fallen log. It was a fluid, organic illumination, completely unlike any artificial light. It invited a sense of wonder and childlike curiosity, making the journey feel like a gentle exploration rather than a directed trek. My gaze often lingered on these tiny pockets of light, marveling at the delicate beauty they revealed in the otherwise deep shades of the forest. The luminous moss in particular was captivating, spreading like miniature constellations across the damp earth and clinging to the bases of the ancient trees. The constant soft whispering from the canopy above seemed to harmonize with the glimmering path below, creating a multi-sensory experience that was profoundly calming. It was a symphony of quiet where sound and light merged into a single enveloping presence. Any lingering thoughts about the outside world, any remaining threads of daily anxieties simply unspooled and drifted away, absorbed by the tranquil beauty surrounding me. My breath became slow and deep, my heartbeat a steady, gentle rhythm that mirrored the quiet pulse of the forest. There was a profound sense of being utterly safe, cradled by the ancient sentinels of the wood. The glowing path was not just a guide, but a reassurance, a visible manifestation of the forest's benevolent nature. It felt as though the very heart of the woods was extending a hand, showing me the way with tenderness and care. The absence of any harsh sounds or abrupt movements only deepened this feeling of security. Even the rustle of unseen creatures in the undergrowth was soft and fleeting, a part of the natural, peaceful ebb and flow of forest life. As I followed the subtle glow, the trees around me seemed to grow even immense, their moss-draped trunks rising like ancient columns into the unseen heights of the canopy. The mist continued its soft dance, sometimes catching the light of the glowing flora and shimmering with an internal radiance, adding another layer to the ethereal beauty. It was a place where boundaries blurred, where the tangible and the intangible seemed to merge, creating a reality far more vibrant and subtle than the one I knew. I felt a profound sense of gratitude for this journey, for the quiet invitation that had led me into such a sacred space. Each step deeper into the glimmering path was a step further into a state of profound relaxation. My body felt light, my mind clear, my spirit entirely at peace. The gentle, consistent glow acted like a visual anchor, keeping my focus entirely on the present moment, allowing me to fully surrender to the soothing embrace of the whispering woods. It was a journey not of distance, but of immersion, sinking deeper into a quiet, restorative world.
Following the ethereal guidance of the glimmering path, the forest deepened around me, its ancient quietude growing even more profound. The mist continued to swirl, softening the edges of the immense trees, creating an atmosphere of suspended time.
It was then, as I moved through a particularly hushed clearing, that I sensed a shift in the air, a subtle intensification of the forest's watchful presence. The faint whispers of the canopy seemed to momentarily hush, and the luminous flora dimmed ever so slightly, as if holding its breath. And then I saw it, standing perfectly still amongst the ancient trees. Barely 20 feet ahead was a majestic, ancient stag. It was unlike any deer I had ever encountered. Its coat was a deep, velvety brown, almost black in the low light, but its antlers were what truly captivated me. They were vast and intricate, spreading upwards like the branches of a winter tree, adorned not with velvet, but with a shimmering, almost crystalline substance that caught the faintest glimmer of light. From the tips of its antlers, a soft, internal luminescence pulsed, mirroring the glow of the forest floor, yet more focused, more profound. Its eyes, deep and knowing, held an ancient wisdom. They were dark pools reflecting the soft ambient light, yet within them I sensed a deep tranquility, a silent understanding. The stag did not move, did not twitch an ear or shift its weight. It simply stood, a living statue of grace and power, observing me with an unwavering gaze. There was no aggression in its stillness, no fear in its eyes, only a quiet, deep assessment. It felt as though it were a guardian, a sentinel of this sacred space, assessing my intentions, perhaps even my very spirit. My breath caught in my throat, not from fear, but from awe. I instinctively stopped, mirroring its stillness, unwilling to break the delicate spell that had fallen over the clearing. The air around us felt thick with unspoken understanding, a silent communication passing between the ancient animal and myself. It was as if the forest itself had paused, holding its breath for this encounter. The scent of pine and damp earth seemed to sharpen, and I could almost feel the subtle vibration of life flowing through the stag's powerful form. Time seemed to stretch and thin in that moment. Every detail of the stag was etched into my memory, the intricate patterns of its antlers, the powerful musculature visible beneath its sleek coat, the absolute stillness of its posture. It exuded an aura of profound peace, a creature perfectly attuned to its ancient surroundings, a living embodiment of the forest's timeless essence. I felt a deep surge of respect, an acknowledgement of its rightful place as a keeper of these woods. After what felt like an eternity, though it was likely only a few slow breaths, the stag made a subtle movement. Its head dipped, almost imperceptibly, a gesture that felt like a silent nod of acknowledgement, perhaps even approval. Then, with a grace that defied its size, it turned its magnificent head slightly, its eyes still holding mine for another brief moment. Without a sound, without even a rustle of leaves, it melted back into the deeper shadows of the trees, its glowing antlers the last thing to vanish from sight, leaving behind only the faintest impression in the swirling mist. The clearing returned to its former state, the whispers of the canopy gently resuming, the luminous flora regaining its soft glow. But the air felt different, imbued with a quiet significance. The encounter had not been a confrontation, but a blessing, a silent affirmation of my gentle passage through the sacred wood. I felt a warmth spread through my chest, a sense of being truly welcomed here. The fleeting glimpse of the ancient guardian had deepened my connection to the forest, anchoring me more firmly in its peaceful embrace. I took a slow, deep breath, releasing the held tension I hadn't even realized had gathered. My senses felt sharper, my awareness more profound. The path ahead seemed to glow with a renewed intensity, as if the stag's presence had invigorated the very magic of the woods. I continued my journey, my steps even lighter now, imbued with a fresh sense of calm and wonder. The image of the majestic stag, its knowing eyes and glowing antlers, lingered in my mind, a powerful symbol of the ancient wisdom and benevolent guardianship that permeated the whispering woods. It was a reminder that I was not alone here, but accompanied by unseen ancient forces, all guiding me towards a deeper, more profound tranquility. The profound sense of safety I had felt before was now amplified, infused with a quiet joy. Refreshed and filled with a deeper sense of connection with the silent encounter with the ancient stag, I continued my journey through the whispering woods. The path, still subtly illuminated by the soft glow of the bioluminescent flora, now led me gently downwards into a shallow, winding valley. The mist here was thinner, allowing more of the moonlight to filter through the canopy, creating an even more ethereal atmosphere. As I descended, a new, utterly captivating sound began to reach my ears. It was a faint, yet distinct, humming melody, soft and resonant, like the deep vibration of ancient strings. It seemed to emanate from the very air, a gentle, continuous note that washed over me, instantly soothing any lingering remnants of the outside world's anxieties. My steps became even more deliberate, more reverent, drawn by the irresistible sound. The source of the melody soon became apparent. I entered a small, secluded grove, hidden from the main flow of the forest by a natural curtain of trailing vines and dense ferns. Here, the trees were unlike any I had seen thus far. Their trunks were incredibly smooth, almost polished, with bark the color of aged silver shimmering faintly in the soft light. These were the singing trees. They stood in a loose circle, their branches intertwining above to form a living dome, and it was from their very essence that the melodic hum arose. It wasn't the sound of wind, nor of hidden birds, but an intrinsic vibration, a gentle, sustained tone that seemed to pulse from within their silvery forms. Each tree contributed to the collective melody, creating a complex yet utterly harmonious chord that resonated deep within my chest. It felt as if their roots stretched down into the very heart of the earth, drawing up ancient songs that they now gently exhaled into the night air. I moved into the center of the grove, drawn by an irresistible pull. The ground here was covered in the softest, deepest moss, cool and springy beneath my feet. As I settled onto it, leaning gently against the smooth bark of one of the singing trees, the melody seemed to intensify, wrapping around me like a warm, comforting blanket. It was a melody without beginning or end, a continuous flow of sound that soothed every nerve, quieted every thought. It was the sound of peace distilled into pure vibration. Closing my eyes, I allowed myself to fully absorb the experience. The gentle hum resonated through my body, loosening muscles I didn't realize were still tense, dissolving any lingering mental chatter. It felt like a deep internal massage, a profound relaxation that reached into the very core of my being. The cool, smooth bark against my back offered a tangible connection to the source of the melody, a sense of being embraced by the ancient wisdom of these trees. The air in the grove was still and sweet, filled with the faint, clean scent of the silvery bark and the ever-present aroma of damp earth and rich foliage. The luminous flora here seemed to glow with a slightly softer, more contemplative light, complementing the tranquil atmosphere. Even the distant whispers of the larger canopy seemed to dim, receding into the background, allowing the pure, focused melody of the singing trees to dominate my senses. Minutes stretched into an undefined period, and I felt myself drifting, not into sleep, but into a state of profound meditation. My mind was clear, yet expansive, filled only with the soft, harmonious hum. It was a rare and precious moment of absolute stillness, a complete surrender to the benevolent magic of the ancient wood. The singing trees were not just objects, they were living, breathing entities, sharing their very essence, offering solace and rejuvenation. This grove was a sanctuary within a sanctuary, a place of profound rest and restoration. After an indeterminate time, a gentle shift in the melody, a subtle softening of its hum, brought me slowly back to a more conscious awareness. I opened my eyes, feeling incredibly refreshed, as if I had slept for hours in the most profound peace. The silvery trees still hummed, but now it felt like a gentle farewell, an invitation to continue my journey, carrying the resonant calm of their song within me. Reluctantly, yet with a renewed sense of purpose, I pushed myself gently from the moss, feeling the subtle vibrations of the melody lingering in my very bones. The path ahead, dimly visible once more, seemed to beckon, promising more wonders, more opportunities for peaceful immersion.
Carrying the lingering resonance of the singing trees within me, I continued my unhurried journey, the soft, silvery hum still echoing in the quiet chambers of my mind. The glimmering path led me onward, sometimes widening, sometimes narrowing, always inviting me deeper into the ancient embrace of the whispering woods. The air remained cool and incredibly clean, and the rich, earthy scent was now subtly infused with the sweet aroma that seemed to emanate from the very essence of the forest's magic. As I gently rounded a bend in what felt like an ancient, winding artery of the woods, the trees parted slightly, revealing a sight that instantly took my breath away. Nestled within a natural hollow, perfectly still and serene, was the pool of reflecting stars. It was not a large body of water, perhaps 20 feet across at its widest, but its surface was utterly unblemished, like a sheet of polished obsidian, and within its depths, perfectly mirrored, lay the entire expanse of the night sky.
Every star, every faint smudge of the Milky Way, every shimmering planet seemed to be reborn within the dark, liquid surface. The moon, a crescent sliver above the dense canopy, was flawlessly replicated, its gentle light casting a soft, luminous glow onto the surrounding moss and the smooth, dark stones that lined the pool's edge. There was no ripple, no disturbance, just a perfect, profound stillness that invited contemplation. I approached the edge slowly, my footsteps instinctively softening even further, as if to avoid disturbing the fragile illusion of the mirrored cosmos. The air around the pool felt different, cooler, imbued with an even deeper sense of tranquility. It was as if this was a place where the veil between worlds thinned, where the terrestrial and the celestial merged in silent harmony. The soft, luminous flora that had guided me thus far seemed to cluster around the pool's perimeter, casting a gentle, internal glow that framed the cosmic reflection without competing with it. Settling onto a patch of soft, cool moss beside the pool, I gazed into its depths. The sensation was extraordinary. It felt as though I could fall upwards into the mirrored sky, dissolving into the endless expanse of stars. All sense of individual self began to dissipate, replaced with a profound connection to something vast and eternal. The worries and thoughts that had once occupied my mind were utterly absent here, replaced by a deep sense of wonder and profound peace. The silence around the pool was absolute, broken only by the faintest, almost imperceptible whisper of the distant canopy. Even the creatures of the forest seemed to hold their breath here, honoring the sacred stillness of the reflections. It was a silence that spoke volumes, conveying a sense of ancient wisdom and cosmic calm. I felt utterly safe, completely at peace, enveloped by the beauty and the profound quietude of this hidden sanctuary. I could feel the subtle energy of the stars radiating from the pool, a cool, gentle vibration that seemed to calm every nerve ending. My breath deepened, becoming slow and rhythmic, in perfect harmony with the still surface of the water. This was a place for letting go, for simply being present with the immense beauty of the universe, both above and below. The cool air touched my skin like a gentle caress, and the faint, sweet scent of the forest seemed to deepen around the pool, creating an intoxicating atmosphere of profound serenity. Every minute spent gazing into the pool of reflecting stars felt like an hour, and yet no time passed at all. It was an experience outside of temporal boundaries, a moment of pure, unadulterated presence. The intricate patterns of the constellations, the soft glow of distant nebulae, all lay before me, infinitely accessible in the still, dark water. It was a reminder of the vastness of existence, and yet, paradoxically, it filled me with a sense of being intimately connected, a tiny, cherished part of this magnificent cosmic tapestry. Leaving the serene stillness of the pool of reflecting stars, I felt a lightness in my steps, a sense of quiet contentment that hummed beneath my skin. The glimmering path, less needed now as my eyes had fully adjusted to the soft, diffused light of the forest, continued its gentle lead. The whispers of the canopy above seemed to have deepened into a continuous soothing murmur, a soft conversation of the ancient trees themselves. As I walked, something subtle began to happen. Without conscious thought, I noticed small, exquisite details appearing along my way. These weren't things I had actively sought, but rather felt like gifts of the forest, subtly placed for me to discover. The first was a perfectly smooth, cool stone, the color of a stormy sky, lying nestled on a bed of luminous moss. Its surface was worn by ancient water, and holding it in my palm, I felt a faint, calming vibration, as if it held the quiet energy of the earth itself. I tucked it gently into a pocket, a silent acknowledgment of the forest's offering. A little further on, draped delicately over a low-hanging fern, was an iridescent feather. It was a remarkable specimen, shimmering with hues of emerald and sapphire, even in the low light, changing colors with the slightest shift of my gaze. It felt incredibly light, almost weightless, and as I picked it up, I felt a fleeting sense of grace, as if it had fallen from the wing of a celestial bird. This, too, felt like a silent welcome, a delicate token from the unseen inhabitants of the woods. These gifts weren't placed in an obvious manner. They were nestled, almost hidden, requiring a gentle attentiveness to notice. It was as if the forest was inviting me to slow down even further, to observe with an open heart, to recognize the quiet generosity of the natural world. Each discovery filled me with a quiet joy, a sense of being truly seen and appreciated by this ancient, benevolent place. There was no expectation, no demand, only the pure act of giving. The air remained cool and incredibly fresh, carrying the clean scent of damp earth and the sweet, almost floral aroma that permeated the deeper parts of the woods. The mist continued its soft, ethereal dance, sometimes swirling playfully around a cluster of glowing fungi, sometimes thinning to reveal the intricate patterns of bark on an ancient tree. Every element contributed to the feeling of profound peace, reinforcing the sense that I was walking through a living, breathing sanctuary. I noticed that the light from the bioluminescent flora seemed to vary slightly in intensity, sometimes pulsing a little brighter near these small offerings, as if highlighting them for my gaze. It was a subtle, reassuring guidance, a gentle wink from the forest itself. The sounds of the woods continued their soothing symphony. The gentle rustle of leaves, the barely audible drip of dew, the distant soft hoot of an owl. These sounds became a comforting backdrop, allowing me to fully immerse myself in the present moment, releasing all thoughts of time or responsibility. Walking through this giving forest felt like an act of deep meditation. My mind was clear, unburdened by the usual noise of daily life. Each breath was deep and slow, filling my lungs with the pure, vital air of the woods. My body felt light, almost buoyant, as if it were moving in harmony with the gentle currents of energy that flowed through this sacred space. There was an overwhelming sense of belonging, a feeling of being exactly where I was meant to be at this very moment. The gifts continued to appear, small, precious treasures. A perfectly formed acorn, polished by countless seasons, lay on a bed of vibrant green moss. A tiny, smooth pebble, striped with delicate veins of white, rested at the base of a particularly gnarled tree root. Each one was unique, each one a testament to the quiet artistry of nature. I didn't feel the need to collect them all, but simply to acknowledge their presence, to feel the quiet joy of discovery. This gentle exchange of walking with an open heart and receiving these small, quiet blessings deepened my appreciation for the ancient Dryad Queen and her domain. It wasn't about grand gestures, but about the profound beauty in the subtle, the quiet, the overlooked. It was a lesson in mindfulness, in recognizing the abundance that surrounds us when we simply allow ourselves to be receptive. The soft magic of the woods permeated my very being, calming my spirit and preparing me for the deeper wonders that surely lay ahead.
As I continued my serene journey through the ancient woods, cradling the small, smooth stone in my pocket, and feeling the gentle calm it imparted, the air around me began to shift once more. The constant earthy fragrance of damp soil and ancient leaves was slowly, subtly, joined by a new, intoxicating aroma. It was the scent of night blooms, a delicate, pervasive sweetness that seemed to drift on the soft currents of the mist, wrapping itself around me like an invisible, fragrant shawl. This was not a singular scent, but a complex tapestry of floral notes, the rich, creamy sweetness of unseen jasmine, the delicate perfume of honeysuckle, and something else, deeper and more mysterious, like night-blooming cereus, a fragrance that unfolded only under the cloak of darkness. It was a perfume that spoke of hidden beauty, of flowers that kept their most exquisite offerings for the quiet hours of the night. Each breath I took was a delight, filling my lungs with this pure, calming essence. The effect of the scent was profound. It seemed to deepen the sense of peace that already permeated the woods, adding a layer of gentle euphoria. My body felt even lighter, my movements more fluid, as if I were floating through the fragrant air rather than walking. The worries that had long since faded seemed utterly forgotten, replaced by a profound sense of well-being. It was a sensory lullaby, gently rocking my mind into a state of blissful tranquility. I found myself slowing my pace even further, wanting to savor every nuance of this ephemeral fragrance. I tried to discern the source, peering into the deeper shadows where the luminous flora glowed with particular intensity, but the flowers themselves remained hidden, their presence revealed only by their intoxicating perfume. It was a gentle reminder that some of the most beautiful things are felt and experienced rather than seen. The mist, too, seemed to carry the scent, its tendrils swirling around me like scented steam, enhancing the feeling of being completely enveloped. The soft whispers of the canopy continued their hushed conversation above, a perfect accompaniment to the fragrant air. The occasional faint hoot of an owl or the rustle of unseen leaves only served to deepen the sense of immersion in this living, breathing sanctuary.
There was no jarring sound, no harsh light, only the continuous soothing symphony of the forest at night, now exquisitely perfumed. My awareness felt incredibly heightened, yet entirely relaxed. I noticed the subtle shift in temperature as I passed beneath particularly dense foliage, the faint coolness of dew gathering on overhead leaves, the almost imperceptible hum of tiny nocturnal insects drawn by the sweet scents. Every detail of the forest contributed to a feeling of profound connection, a sense of belonging that resonated deep within me. The path, always subtly illuminated by the luminous flora, felt as though the very air was guiding me, leading me deeper into the heart of the Dryad Queen's domain, each step imbued with a quiet purpose. There was no sense of being lost, no anxiety about direction, only a trusting surrender to the gentle pull of the woods. As I walked, I imagined the unseen blooms, their petals unfurling in the moonlight, releasing their precious fragrance into the cool night air. It was a testament to the quiet magic that thrived in this ancient place, a magic that worked through all the senses, subtly reshaping perception and inviting a deepened state of calm. The scent felt like a benevolent presence, a gentle embrace from the forest itself, guiding me deeper into sleep-like serenity. The profound sense of rest and rejuvenation that had begun at the forest's edge was now complete. My body felt utterly relaxed, my mind clear and quiet, my spirit suffused with a gentle, encompassing peace. The night bloom's perfume lingered, a constant, soothing companion, ensuring that every breath I took contributed to this deepening tranquility. It was a night for letting go, for surrendering to the quiet beauty, for allowing the ancient woods to weave their spell of profound rest.
The air, rich with the intoxicating scent of night blooms, continued to lull me deeper into the tranquil heart of the whispering woods. My steps were now almost imperceptible, my being harmonized with the gentle, quiet rhythm of the ancient forest. The mist swirled in soft, fragrant eddies, and the luminous flora pulsed with a consistent, soothing glow, guiding me with an ethereal touch. Then a new sensation rippled through the serene quiet, echoes of laughter. It was faint, almost like a memory carried on a distant breeze, yet undeniably there. Not loud, boisterous laughter, but soft, melodious chimes, like tiny bells or the gentle splashing of water. It was the sound of pure, unadulterated joy, a whisper of playful delight that seemed to dance just beyond my immediate perception. The sounds drifted from no discernible direction, seeming to rise from the undergrowth one moment, then shimmer down from the canopy the next. It suggested the presence of hidden beings, perhaps the playful spirits of the forest, going about their secret, joyful lives in the moonlit depths. There was no sense of intrusion or fear, only a warm curiosity and a gentle smile that touched my lips. The laughter was like a soft, comforting melody woven into the existing symphony of whispers and rustles. I found myself pausing, listening intently, trying to pinpoint the source of these delightful sounds.
The air felt even lighter, infused with a subtle energy that encouraged a sense of buoyancy. It was as if the very atmosphere of the woods was bubbling with quiet mirth. The luminous moss on the forest floor seemed to glow a little brighter in response to these playful echoes, and the leaves above rustled with what felt like their own gentle chuckles. The experience deepened my sense of the forest as a living, conscious entity, filled not just with ancient wisdom, but also with a vibrant, joyful spirit. It was a place of deep peace, yes, but also of gentle delight, a reminder of the lighter, more playful aspects of nature. The unseen laughter was infectious, not in a way that stirred me to action, but in a way that filled me with a quiet, internal happiness. It was a perfect complement to the profound serenity, adding a touch of whimsical wonder to the journey. My worries, long forgotten, seemed utterly irrelevant in the face of such pure, unburdened joy. This was a realm where simple existence was a celebration, where unseen life flourished in harmonious play. The rich, calming scent of the night blooms mingled with the fresh, clean air, and the gentle, chiming laughter seemed to weave through both, creating an atmosphere of utter bliss. My breath remained slow and deep, each inhalation drawing in more of this peaceful, joyful essence. I walked on, not actively seeking the source of the laughter, but allowing it to wash over me, a constant, comforting presence. It was enough to know that such unadulterated joy existed within these ancient confines, a secret melody played out in the shadows and light. Sometimes the laughter would feel closer, as if just around the next ancient trunk, and then it would softly recede, a playful whisper in the distance. This elusive quality only added to its charm, keeping the sense of wonder alive. The ground remained soft and yielding beneath my feet, making each step feel effortless. The glowing flora continued to offer its gentle guidance, highlighting the path forward without ever demanding attention. The entire journey felt like a dream, yet one that was profoundly real, affecting me on a deeper level than any waking experience. The echoes of laughter were a gentle reminder that even in the quietest, most ancient places, there is vibrant, joyful life thriving unseen. I felt utterly safe, completely at peace, and deeply content. The world outside, with its demands and stresses, felt impossibly distant, a fading echo compared to the vivid, tranquil reality of the whispering woods. The soft, melodious laughter continued to drift around me, a constant source of quiet delight, ensuring that my journey deeper into the forest was one of continuous, gentle immersion into profound rest and serenity. This forest was truly a haven, a place where the soul could unwind and find solace in the embrace of ancient magic and hidden joy. Carried by the lingering echoes of laughter and the sweet, calming scent of night blooms, I continued deeper into the ancient woods. The path, still softly illuminated by the benevolent glow of the luminous flora, felt less like a route and more like a gentle suggestion, leading me wherever the forest itself wished me to go. The mist, always present, now seemed to soften the very air, making every breath a refreshing, peaceful intake. As the hours drifted by, marked only by the deepening quiet and the subtle shifts in the forest's nocturnal symphony, a sense of gentle weariness began to settle upon me, a welcome invitation to rest. It was not a heavy exhaustion, but a soft, pleasant tiredness, the kind that follows a day spent immersed in profound peace. Just as this feeling became noticeable, the trees ahead seemed to draw back slightly, revealing a natural opening, a perfect haven for repose. Before me lay a remarkable sight, a natural alcove, a true shelter of vines. It was formed by an ancient, gnarled tree whose massive, sprawling branches had given rise to a thick, intricate curtain of vines, trailing gracefully to the forest floor. These vines, woven tightly together by untold seasons, created a secluded, circular space, perfectly enclosed, yet open to the soft, diffused light of the glowing plants. The interior of this vine shelter was surprisingly spacious and utterly inviting. The floor was covered in a deep, plush carpet of the softest moss, vibrant green even in the subdued light, yielding comfortably with every touch. The air within the alcove was still and warm, held gently by the natural walls, creating a comforting microclimate within the cooler forest. It felt like a womb, a place of ultimate safety and quietude. I stepped inside, my body already beginning to relax at the sight of such a perfect resting place. The vines themselves felt surprisingly soft to the touch, their surfaces smooth and cool. They were interwoven with small, delicate leaves that shimmered faintly with their own internal light, adding to the gentle luminosity of the space. It was a shelter crafted by nature itself, offering both protection and profound comfort. Settling down onto the mossy floor, I leaned back against the vine-woven wall. The soft resilience of the moss cradled my body, conforming to every curve, inviting me to sink deeper into its comforting embrace. The gentle rustle of the vines, a soft, almost imperceptible whisper, became a natural lullaby, harmonizing with the distant murmurs of the larger canopy. All external sounds faded, leaving only the profound quiet of this hidden sanctuary. A sense of complete safety washed over me. Here, within this natural cocoon, I felt utterly protected, far removed from any concerns of the outside world. It was a space designed for true rest, for deep rejuvenation, a place where the soul could fully unwind and surrender to the embrace of the ancient woods. The scent of night blooms was softer here, a more concentrated perfume that seemed to infuse the very air I breathed, calming my senses further. My breath became long and slow, each exhalation releasing any lingering tension, any forgotten thought. My eyelids felt heavy, pulling downwards with a gentle insistence. The soft internal glow of the vines and the moss seemed to pulse rhythmically, a gentle light show for a mind ready for repose. It was as if the forest itself was preparing me for a deeper state of rest, easing me gently into the arms of sleep. I lay there simply being, feeling the gentle hum of the forest's life around me, the soft comfort of the moss beneath, the protective embrace of the vine walls. The echoes of laughter from earlier had faded into a peaceful silence, replaced by the profound quiet that only truly ancient places can offer. This was not merely a physical rest, but a spiritual one, a profound letting go that allowed my entire being to align with the deep, slow pulse of the earth. The shelter of vines was more than just a place to lie down. It was an invitation to enter a deeper state of tranquility, preparing me for whatever gentle visions the ancient forest might offer in the realm of dreams.
Nestled within the secure embrace of the vine shelter, cushioned by the incredibly soft moss, I felt the profound peace of the ancient forest deepen around me. The gentle whisper of the vines and the subtle glow of the luminous leaves within the alcove created a perfect cocoon of calm. My body, already deeply relaxed, now began its natural surrender to sleep, not a forced slumber, but a gentle, effortless descent. This was the moment for dream weaving. As my awareness softened, the line between waking and dreaming blurred. The scents of night blooms and damp earth became richer, more vivid, no longer just aromas, but threads of experience. The ambient sounds of the forest, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft rustle of unseen creatures, the continuous ancient murmurs of the canopy, transformed into a soothing symphony that cradled my fading consciousness. It was as if the forest itself was breathing with me, exhaling tranquility into my very core. The luminous flora, which had guided my path, now seemed to become part of my internal landscape. Their soft, ethereal glow infused my thoughts, painting them with hues of emerald, sapphire, and violet. My mind, free from the day's chatter, began to conjure images, not of my own making, but gentle visions woven from the essence of the woods. I saw the majestic stag, not as a fleeting encounter, but as a silent, benevolent guardian watching over a sun-dappled glade. Its antlers, still shimmering with that internal light, seemed to sprout tiny new leaves, symbolizing renewal and vibrant life. The singing trees from the grove reappeared, their silvery trunks resonating with a melody that was now not just heard, but felt. A vibration of pure harmony flowing through my entire being. I imagined their roots intertwining deep beneath the earth, sharing nourishment and ancient wisdom, their song a constant wellspring of peace. I saw delicate, luminous butterflies, their wings dusted with starlight, fluttering through fields of glowing wildflowers, their silent dance a celebration of quiet joy. The pool of reflecting stars from earlier moments in the journey reappeared in my dream, its surface a perfect mirror. But now it reflected not just the cosmos, but also the deep, verdant canopy of the forest, creating an infinite tunnel of green and starlight. I felt myself floating above it, weightless, observing the boundless beauty of both the micro and macro worlds, all connected, all serene. There was no narrative in these visions, no unfolding plot or dramatic arc. They were simply a series of peaceful, restorative images, dissolving and reforming like mist in the moonlight. Each vision brought with it a profound sense of calm, a deeper immersion into the tranquility of the ancient woods.
The vine shelter seemed to melt away, and I felt as though I was floating within the very heart of the woods, enveloped by its gentle, ancient spirit. The air in my dream was cool and soft, carrying the constant scent of the night blooms, a constant reminder of the gentle magic that permeated this place. My breathing remained deep and even, a steady rhythm that mirrored the quiet pulse of the forest. All tension had completely dissolved from my body, leaving it feeling utterly relaxed, a comfortable vessel for these beautiful, peaceful visions. This was not just sleep. It was a profound communion, a silent dialogue with the ancient Dryad Queen and her realm. The forest was actively weaving dreams of renewal, of beauty, of deep rest, subtly mending and restoring something within me that I hadn't even realized was frayed. I felt a sense of timelessness, as if I had always been here, always a part of this ancient, peaceful cycle. The last conscious thought that faded into the gentle dreamscape was one of immense gratitude. Gratitude for the invitation, for the journey, for the profound calm, and for the promise of complete and utter restoration that these visions offered. I drifted deeper, carried by the forest's silent lullaby, completely at peace, utterly safe within its gentle, dream-weaving embrace.
Slowly, gently, the deep, restorative dream-weaving began to recede. Not with a jolt, but with the softest unfurling of awareness. My senses stirred, first with the cool, refreshing touch on my skin, then the subtle, clean scent of fresh growth. I became aware of the exquisite comfort of the moss beneath me, still cradling my body perfectly within the vine shelter. This gradual reawakening felt like rising from the deepest, most profound rest imaginable, leaving behind a profound sense of lightness and peace. As my eyes slowly opened, the first thing I noticed was the faint, diffused light filtering through the woven vines and the canopy above. It wasn't the stark brightness of dawn, but a soft, shimmering luminescence, an internal glow that seemed to emanate from the very air of the forest. And then I felt it, covering me like a fine, invisible blanket, a delicate layer of dew. It wasn't a cold or unpleasant dampness, but a cool, refreshing sensation, like countless tiny, weightless pearls resting on my skin and the fabric of my clothes. Each droplet seemed to shimmer with the soft light of the forest, catching the ambient glow and reflecting it back in a myriad of tiny, sparkling facets. It was as if the forest itself had wept tears of pure, vital water onto me, a blessing of renewal. The air in the vine shelter, and indeed the entire forest, felt incredibly crisp and clean, invigorated by the night's quiet work. The scent of night blooms was still present, but now mingled with the fresh, clean aroma of dew-kissed leaves and damp earth, a truly invigorating combination. I took a deep, slow breath, feeling my lungs expand with this pure, vital air, and a profound sense of rejuvenation washed over me. Every cell in my body felt awake, refreshed, and alive.
I gently pushed myself up from the moss, feeling no stiffness, no aches, only a remarkable flexibility and lightness in my limbs. The subtle vibrations of the singing trees from earlier seemed to hum softly within my very bones, a lingering resonance of harmony. My mind, usually prone to immediate thought and planning upon waking, was wonderfully clear and still, as if polished clean by the night's deep rest. There was no urgency, no need to rush, only a quiet eagerness to experience the forest in this renewed state. Stepping out from the vine shelter, the dew on the moss outside glistened even more brilliantly, creating a living carpet of diamonds and emeralds underfoot. Each blade of grass, each delicate fern, each leaf on the immense trees seemed to be adorned with these sparkling droplets, reflecting the soft, diffused light of the new day. The whispers of the canopy felt different now, not just ancient murmurs, but a gentle, welcoming rustle, like a benevolent greeting. The luminous flora which had guided me through the night still retained a faint internal glow, a softer radiance that hinted at its nocturnal magic. It was a beautiful transition from the deep, vibrant light of night to the gentle, fresh illumination of the forest morning. The entire woods felt infused with a quiet, vibrant energy, a sense of gentle awakening and renewed life. I walked slowly, deliberately, allowing the cool touch of the dew to refresh my skin, feeling the softness of the moss beneath my feet. Every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call, every subtle shift in light felt incredibly clear and distinct, yet completely non-jarring. My senses were heightened, allowing me to absorb every nuance of this beautiful, revitalized forest. The encounter with the ancient stag, the harmonious song of the silver trees, the cosmic reflection in the pool, the generous gifts of the forest, the intoxicating scent of night blooms, and the echoes of laughter, all these memories resurfaced, not as distant events, but as deeply ingrained experiences, part of my very renewed spirit. This profound rest, this awakening to dew, had solidified them, weaving them into the fabric of my renewed spirit. I felt an immense gratitude for the ancient Dryad Queen and her domain, for the profound healing and restoration it had offered. It was a complete transformation, leaving me not just well-rested, but deeply reconnected, refreshed from the very core of my being. The path ahead seemed to shimmer with a quiet promise, inviting me to continue this gentle journey of discovery, now imbued with even deeper sense of peace and vitality. Awakening to the gentle kiss of dew, feeling completely refreshed and imbued with a quiet vitality, I stepped fully out of the vine shelter. The forest around me now held a soft, morning luminescence, a diffused light that hinted at the sun rising beyond the dense canopy. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the renewed scent of damp earth and the lingering sweetness of the night blooms. With each deep breath, I felt a gentle expansion within my chest, a sense of profound well-being that permeated every part of me. My gaze, now clear and unburdened, noticed a subtle movement near a cluster of shimmering ferns just ahead. It wasn't the darting motion of a small animal, but something more ethereal, more delicate. A handful of luminous butterflies had appeared, their wings glowing with the same internal radiance as the flora that had lit my path all night. They were not vibrant daytime colors, but soft, translucent hues of pearl, silver, and pale gold, pulsing gently with their own inherent light. They fluttered with an almost dreamlike slowness, their silent movements a graceful dance in the still air. And then, as in silent invitation, they began to move, not erratically, but in a clear, deliberate path, leading me deeper into what felt like the very core of the ancient woods. There was no doubt in my mind that they were guiding me, their delicate forms like living beacons in the soft morning light. I followed them without hesitation, my steps light and buoyant on the mossy ground. The butterflies never flew too far ahead, always remaining within sight, their gentle glow a comforting presence. Sometimes one would pause, resting on a dew-kissed leaf, its wings slowly opening and closing, revealing the intricate patterns of their luminescence, before gently taking flight again. Their presence felt profoundly peaceful, a symbol of delicate beauty and silent wisdom. The forest around us seemed to respond to their presence. The mist, which had been a constant companion, now thinned and swirled in soft eddies around the butterflies, creating shimmering veils through which they danced. The whispers of the canopy above seemed to soften even further, as if the ancient trees were holding their breath in reverence for these delicate guides. The air remained exquisitely fresh, infused with the mingled scents of forest and the faint sweet perfume carried by the butterflies themselves. My mind remained wonderfully clear, free from any extraneous thoughts. I was fully immersed in the present moment, simply observing, simply following, allowing the quiet magic of the woods to unfold around me. The simple act of following these luminous creatures filled me with a quiet joy, a sense of harmonious connection to the natural world. It felt like a privilege to be led by such ethereal beings, a testament to the benevolent magic of the Dryad Queen's realm. The path the butterflies traced was not always straight. It wound through groves of ancient moss-draped trees, skirted around clearings where the ground shimmered with forgotten energies, and occasionally dipped into shallow hollows where the air felt even cooler and more pristine. Each turn revealed a new aspect of the forest's beauty, a different arrangement of light and shadow, a fresh perspective on its timeless grandeur. I felt utterly safe, completely at ease, surrendering fully to the guidance of these radiant companions. The fatigue that had invited sleep hours ago was now entirely gone, replaced by a boundless energy that was calm and sustained, not restless. This was a place of profound healing, where every element conspired to bring about a state of perfect peace and restoration. The butterflies were not just guiding my physical path, but my spiritual one, leading me deeper into a sense of inner quietude. As the journey continued, the light in the forest seemed to subtly shift, growing incrementally brighter, indicating that I was drawing closer to something significant, The butterflies, too, seemed to pulse with a slightly more intense glow, their collective radiance forming a soft, inviting beacon. There was a palpable sense of anticipation, not of excitement, but of gentle arrival, of reaching a destination that had been waiting for me all along. The very air seemed to hum with this quiet expectation, pulling me deeper towards the ancient heart of the whispering woods, guided every step of the way by the silent, luminous dance of the ethereal butterflies.
Guided by the gentle, luminous dance of the ethereal butterflies, I continued my peaceful journey through the awakening woods. The soft morning light grew subtly brighter, hinting at the proximity of something truly immense. The air became even more still, charged with a palpable sense of ancient energy, as if the very atmosphere itself was drawing me inward. The delicate sense of night blooms and damp earth intensified, mingled now with a deep woody aroma that spoke of immense age. The butterflies, instead of spreading out, began to converge, their collective glow forming a single pulsating beacon ahead. And then, as I rounded a final gentle curve in the path, they fluttered upwards, dissolving like silent starlight into the canopy, revealing the true wonder that lay before me, the ancient oak. It was not merely a tree, it was a living monument, a towering sentinel that defied belief. Its trunk was impossibly vast, wider than any building I had ever seen, its bark a deeply furrowed tapestry of greens, grays, and browns, etched with the wisdom of countless millennia. Roots, thick as ancient serpents, snaked out from its base, disappearing into the mossy earth, forming natural alcoves and gentle mounds. It seemed to reach both infinitely downwards and infinitely upwards, a profound connection between the hidden depths of the earth and the boundless expanse of the sky. Its branches, massive and gnarled, spread outwards like an entire forest unto themselves, supporting a canopy so dense and sprawling that it created a perpetual twilight beneath its boughs. Sunlight, or what little managed to filter through its immense foliage, broke into a million shimmering shards, dancing in the mist that perpetually clung to its upper reaches. It was a tree that had witnessed the turning of ages, a living library of time and memory. A profound silence settled around the ancient oak, a stillness deeper than any I had yet encountered in the woods. The whispers of the canopy, the rustle of hidden creatures, even the gentle hum of the singing trees, all seemed to recede, leaving only the quiet, majestic presence of this colossal being. It wasn't an oppressive silence, but a sacred one, a reverence for something truly ancient and powerful. I approached the trunk slowly, drawn by an irresistible pull. My hand instinctively reached out, and as my fingers touched the rough, cool bark, a faint, gentle vibration resonated through me. It was not a physical tremor, but an energetic pulse, a slow, steady heartbeat that seemed to emanate from the very core of the tree. I felt an overwhelming sense of peace, a feeling of being utterly grounded and connected to something immense and eternal.
Moss, softer and richer than any I had felt before, covered parts of its trunk, forming velvety cushions in its deep furrows. Tiny, luminous fungi, of a kind I hadn't seen before, glowed with a soft, warm light within the crevices, like miniature embers. The air around the ancient oak was cool and fresh, carrying the deepest, purest scent of ancient wood and damp earth, a fragrance that filled my lungs and settled deep within my being. I sat down at its base, leaning against the immense trunk, feeling its quiet strength supporting me. It felt like sitting at the heart of the world, at the very nexus of all life. All thoughts, all worries, all sense of personal history dissolved completely, leaving only a state of pure presence. This was more than just a tree. It was the heart of the Dryad Queen, the wellspring of the forest's magic, a place of ultimate sanctuary and profound wisdom. My breathing became incredibly slow and deep, mirroring the ancient, unhurried rhythm of the oak itself. I felt myself sinking into a state of blissful awareness, where the boundaries between myself and the majestic tree seemed to blur. The calm that had permeated my journey now deepened into an all-encompassing serenity. The sheer scale and enduring presence of the ancient oak were incredibly humbling, yet also deeply comforting, offering a sense of stability and timeless peace that transcended all understanding.
Leaning against the immense, ancient trunk of the great oak, I felt its deep, unhurried pulse resonate through me, a profound connection to the very heart of the forest. The air around me was still, imbued with a sacred quiet, and the gentle, diffused light filtered through the colossal canopy in shimmering shards. It was in this moment of deep stillness and profound connection that I sensed it, the Dryad Queen's presence. It was not a physical manifestation, no visible form emerging from the ancient bark or mist. Rather, it was a subtle, ethereal energy, a powerful yet incredibly benevolent presence that seemed to emanate directly from the ancient oak itself. It felt like a warm, gentle embrace, a silent, all-encompassing awareness that settled around me, infinitely comforting and deeply wise. I felt no surprise, only a quiet recognition, as if I had been anticipating this moment since first entering the whispering woods. The air around me seemed to hum with this presence, not a sound heard with my ears, but a vibration felt in the very core of my being. It was a sense of profound antiquity, of vast knowledge, and of an unwavering protective love for all living things within her domain. This was the nurturing force behind the forest's gentle magic, the whispers of the canopy, the glimmering path, the singing trees, the gifts, the fragrant night blooms, the echoes of laughter, and the restorative dream weaving. All were expressions of her ancient spirit. My mind, already quieted by the journey, became utterly still, receptive to this silent communication. There were no words, yet understanding flowed between us, a recognition of my gentle intentions and her timeless benevolence. It was a feeling of being completely seen, completely accepted, without judgment or expectation.
All my senses were heightened, yet paradoxically, completely at rest. The subtle scent of the oak deepened, becoming almost intoxicating, a perfume of pure earth and ancient life. I closed my eyes, allowing myself to sink deeper into this profound connection. The silence was absolute, a perfect canvas for the experience. I could feel the subtle energy of her presence permeating every cell of my body, a gentle, healing current that eased any lingering tension I might have unknowingly held. It was an experience of pure peace, a deep, resonant calm that settled into my very bones. In that moment, I felt myself merging with the tranquility of the forest, becoming one with the ancient rhythm of the earth and the sky. The outside world, with its complexities and demands, felt infinitely distant, a fading dream compared to the vivid, profound reality of this sacred space. The Dryad Queen's presence was a reminder of the enduring power of nature, of its capacity for deep healing and boundless generosity. I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, a silent thank you for this profound invitation, for the journey of solace and restoration. It was a privilege to be allowed into the deepest sanctuary of her domain, to feel the quiet power of her ancient spirit. The sense of protection was absolute, a feeling of being cradled by an immense, loving intelligence. There was no sense of time passing, only the profound present moment. The sun, still subtly filtered by the canopy, seemed to grow softer, more golden, casting long, peaceful shadows around the base of the oak. It was a testament to the enduring presence of the Dryad Queen, a silent witness to countless dawns and dusks. When I gently opened my eyes, the world seemed imbued with a new layer of beauty, a shimmering veil of peace. The ancient oak stood before me, more majestic than ever, its silent grandeur now infused with the tangible warmth of the Dryad Queen's spirit. The lingering resonance of her presence continued to envelop me, ensuring that the profound tranquility I had found here would remain a part of me as I began my gentle journey back from the heart of the whispering woods. Lingering in the profound peace that emanated from the ancient oak, still enveloped by the gentle, benevolent presence of the Dryad Queen, I felt an extraordinary sense of connection. It was a shared silence, not an emptiness, but a rich, full quietude where understanding transcended words. My spirit felt entirely open, receptive to the subtle currents of wisdom and tranquility that flowed from this ancient heart of the forest. In this shared silence, I felt a deep, unspoken communion. It was as if the ancient oak, and through it the Dryad Queen, recognized the quiet seeking within me and offered solace without demand. There was no need for explanation, no expectation, just a profound sense of acceptance. The lingering fragrance of ancient wood and night blooms seemed to deepen, becoming an almost tangible part of this silent dialogue, wrapping around me like a comforting embrace. My breath, already deep and slow, softened even further, becoming almost imperceptible. I felt my heartbeat slow to match the ancient rhythm of the earth, a steady, calm thrum that resonated in my chest. Every muscle in my body felt utterly relaxed, dissolved by the immense peace that permeated the air around the ancient oak. All tension, all conscious thought, all memory of external responsibilities faded into a beautiful, quiet void. In this stillness, images began to surface in my mind, not as vivid dreams, but as gentle impressions, soft as whispered suggestions. They were fleeting glimpses of the forest's slow, deliberate processes, the silent unfolding of a new leaf, the patient growth of a tiny root seeking moisture in the dark earth, the gentle filtering of starlight through countless layers of canopy. These were the quiet truths of the forest, shared without fanfare, simply present for me to observe and absorb. I felt an overwhelming sense of belonging, a feeling that I was not merely a visitor, but for this timeless moment, a part of the forest itself. The cool, ancient bark against my back offered a tangible anchor to this profound connection, solidifying the feeling of being cradled and protected. The pervasive mist around the oak seemed to shimmer with an inner light, creating an ethereal veil that separated this sacred space from the rest of the world, allowing for this unique and intimate communion. The Dryad Queen's presence was a continuous, unwavering warmth, a gentle current of life that flowed through me, healing and restoring from the inside out. It was a silent affirmation, a deep sense of yes to the peace I had found, to the rest I so desperately needed. This was the pinnacle of the journey, the deepest immersion into the forest's soul, a moment of perfect harmony between nature and spirit. Time ceased to have any meaning. It could have been minutes, or it could have been hours. There was only the present moment, vast and encompassing, filled with the profound quiet of the shared silence. I absorbed the subtle energies, the ancient wisdom, the pure, benevolent calm. It was a deep cleansing of the spirit, leaving me feeling lighter, purer, completely at peace. The subtle sounds of the forest, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft rustle of unseen creatures were not disruptions, but gentle accents in this symphony of quietude. They were reminders of the living, breathing world around me, yet they did not pull me from the profound stillness of the Dryad Queen's presence. Everything contributed to a single, encompassing feeling of absolute tranquility. When, with a soft, internal sigh, I felt the subtle shift, the gentle ebbing of this intense connection, I opened my eyes. The ancient oak stood before me, as majestic and silent as ever, but now infused with a deeper meaning, a more profound resonance. The shared silence had left an indelible mark, imbuing me with a lasting sense of calm and a renewed appreciation for the quiet, healing power of the natural world. I carried a profound sense of gratitude within me, a silent promise to cherish the peace I had found. Having experienced the profound shared silence with the ancient oak and the Dryad Queen's benevolent presence, I felt utterly renewed, my spirit steeped in a calm unlike any I had ever known. The lingering energy of that communion filled the space around me, and as I settled deeper into this profound peace, a new set of impressions gently unfolded in my mind, visions of renewal. These were not vibrant, active scenes, but soft, ethereal images, like delicate paintings forming and dissolving on the canvas of my inner eye. I saw the slow, patient unfolding of a tiny seed, its nascent life pushing gently through the dark, nurturing soil. It wasn't a sudden burst, but an elongated, graceful process, a testament to the quiet power of growth. I watched as delicate root tendrils stretched downwards, anchoring the new life, while a tiny sprout, impossibly green, reached tentatively towards a distant, diffused light. The vision conveyed a deep sense of potential, of beginning, of the endless cycle of life. Then the images shifted, showing vast stretches of the forest floor, seemingly barren, slowly becoming vibrant with new life. I saw patches of moss, initially pale, deepen into rich, velvety emeralds. Delicate ferns uncurled their fronds with graceful slowness, their frondlets spiraling open as if dancing to an unheard melody. Tiny, unseen insects, vital to the forest's health, moved through the undergrowth, their movements a part of the grand, silent design. It was a vision of profound healing, of nature's endless capacity for restoration, quietly mending itself. The air around me, still cool and fresh, felt charged with this energy of renewal. The faint scent of the night blooms mingled with the deep, clean aroma of the ancient oak, creating a perfume that spoke of both timelessness and new beginnings. The soft, diffused light filtering through the canopy seemed to intensify with these visions, bathing the forest in a gentle, ethereal glow that enhanced the feeling of rebirth. My own body felt incredibly light, as if years of accumulated tension and fatigue were simply melting away, leaving behind a sensation of profound rejuvenation. My breath continued its slow, steady rhythm, in perfect harmony with the gentle unfolding of these visions. It was as if the forest was not just showing me renewal, but actively imparting it, infusing every cell of my being with its healing energy. I saw visions of water, pure and clear, trickling down ancient stones, carving soft, smooth paths through the earth, nourishing every root and every leaf. It was the lifeblood of the forest, constant and flowing, a symbol of cleansing and sustenance. I then envisioned patches of sunlight, warm and gentle, slowly spreading across the canopy, encouraging the leaves to unfurl, inviting the forest to breathe and thrive. It was a continuous dance of elements, all working in perfect harmony, all contributing to the quiet, ceaseless process of growth and healing. There were no jarring images, no sense of urgency or effort. Each vision flowed seamlessly into the next, a continuous stream of gentle, restorative moments. It was a reminder that true growth often happens in quiet, unhurried ways beneath the surface, unfolding with patience and resilience. The profound wisdom of the Dryad Queen's domain was evident in every subtle detail, in every slow, deliberate act of natural renewal. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for these insights, for the quiet lesson of nature's endless cycle of rejuvenation. It was a powerful counterpoint to the hurried pace of the outside world, a soothing balm for the soul. The visions reinforced the sense of peace I had found, deepening my understanding of the forest's inherent tranquility and its capacity to heal. I felt completely at ease, entirely safe, and profoundly connected to this ancient, living world. The image of the ancient oak remained steadfast before me, its immense presence a silent anchor to these visions of growth and healing. Its wisdom was undeniable, its energy profoundly nurturing. I knew that the sense of renewal I felt was not fleeting, but deeply ingrained, a lasting gift from the heart of the whispering woods. With the gentle visions of renewal lingering in my awakened mind, and the profound presence of the Dryad Queen still a comforting warmth around the ancient oak, I knew my time in the deepest heart of the whispering woods was drawing to a close. There was no sadness, only a deep sense of gratitude and completion. It was time for the path home. As I slowly, gently pushed myself up from the base of the immense oak, my body felt wonderfully light, infused with a boundless, quiet energy. My mind was clear, unburdened by any thoughts or anxieties, and my spirit was utterly at peace. The forest around me seemed to shift, subtly, imperceptibly. The pervasive mist seemed to thin, and the diffused light, though still soft, felt a little brighter, hinting at the world beyond the canopy. I turned, not with a sense of urgency, but with a quiet willingness to follow the way that would now be shown. And there it was, a faint, luminous trail, beckoning softly through the trees, clearer and more direct than any path I had taken on my inward journey. It was still the gentle glow of the bioluminescent flora, but now it seemed to pulse with a comforting familiarity, like a series of gentle farewell lights. My footsteps were silent on the mossy ground, each step a testament to the profound calm that now resided within me. The sounds of the forest, once a symphony of subtle whispers and rustles, now seemed to become a soft, continuous hum, a quiet blessing accompanying my departure. The scent of night blooms and ancient earth, which had been so intoxicating, was now a sweet, lingering memory, a perfume that would stay with me long after I left the woods. I felt no desire to rush, only to absorb every last moment of this sacred journey. The trees, which had appeared as mysterious, ancient sentinels on my way in, now felt like old friends, their immense forms offering a final, silent farewell. I recognized certain groves, certain particularly gnarled trees, feeling a pang of gentle fondness for the silent companions of my extraordinary night. The cool, fresh air invigorated me, yet without any sense of stimulation. It was a perfect balance, a feeling of being fully alive, yet deeply at rest. My breathing remained slow and deep, a rhythm learned from the ancient pulse of the forest. The gentle breeze that stirred the leaves above felt like a soft caress, a final blessing from the Dryad Queen. The path home was filled with a sense of quiet gratitude. I reflected on the majestic stag, the singing trees, the pool of reflecting stars, the small, quiet gifts, and the echoes of laughter. Each memory was not just an image, but a deep sense of peace that had permeated every encounter. This forest had not just offered me sleep, it had offered me a complete recalibration, a profound return to a state of inner harmony. As I walked, I noticed the luminous butterflies reappearing, not guiding me with active purpose now, but fluttering gently around me, like tiny, living farewell wishes. Their soft glow seemed to shimmer with a knowing tranquility, accompanying me almost to the edge of the deeper woods, before softly dissolving into the diffused light. It was a gentle release, a subtle letting go, as if the forest was allowing me to carry its essence out into the wider world. The sense of immense safety remained, a constant, comforting presence. There was no fear of returning to the familiar, only a quiet confidence born from the profound rest and renewal I had experienced. The edge of the woods, which had seemed so imposing on entry, now felt welcoming, a gentle transition back into the world, but a world viewed through new, calmer eyes. I carried the silence, the wisdom, and the healing of the whispering woods within me, a profound and lasting gift.
The soft, familiar voice of the wind through the leaves grew subtly stronger now, no longer solely the ancient murmurs of the canopy, but the sound of the world beyond the deeper woods. The luminous glow of the path, though still present, began to soften, fading almost imperceptibly as the natural light of early morning became more dominant. My steps, light and unburdened, carried me effortlessly towards the boundary I had crossed what felt like an age ago. The trees, still immense and ancient, gradually began to thin, allowing more of the emerging daylight to filter through. The mist, my constant companion throughout the night, became lighter, swirling in delicate tendrils that dissipated gently into the cooler air. I noticed the faint, sweet scent of the night blooms, now mingled with the crisp, clean aroma of the morning, a beautiful blend of memory and renewed present. As I reached the very edge of the whispering woods, where the ancient trees finally gave way to the familiar landscape just beyond, I paused. Turning back, I gazed into the depths I had traversed. The forest appeared as it had when I first approached it, a vast, verdant wall, mysterious and inviting. Yet it was different to me now. It held a newfound reverence, a deeper understanding of its quiet power and benevolent spirit. The image of the ancient oak, the presence of the Dryad Queen, the profound peace of its heart, these were not merely memories, but sensations, woven into the very fabric of my being. I felt a profound sense of carrying the forest's calm with me. It wasn't something that would fade with the morning light or dissipate with the return to the familiar world. It was a lasting impression, a deep-seated tranquility that had settled into my mind and body. The restless thoughts that had often plagued me were gone, replaced by a quiet clarity. The anxieties that had once weighed my spirit were simply absent, dissolved by the ancient magic of the woods. My breathing continued its slow, deep, and rhythmic pace, a testament to the profound relaxation I had experienced. My muscles felt pliable and entirely at ease, devoid of any tension. I felt profoundly refreshed, not just physically, but spiritually, as if my very essence had been cleansed and renewed by the gentle embrace of the forest.
The gentle hum of the singing trees seemed to echo softly within me, a continuous melody of peace. The simple act of stepping out from the woods felt like a gentle re-entry, not a harsh transition. The cool morning air, the familiar sounds of distant life, all greeted me with a new sense of quiet wonder. The world seemed clearer, sharper, yet simultaneously softer, viewed through the lens of the forest's profound calm. I carried the subtle wisdom of the stag, the playful echoes of laughter, the stillness of the reflecting pool, and the quiet generosity of the forest's gifts. This journey had been more than a physical exploration. It was a journey inward, guided by the ancient spirits of the woods. It had taught me the power of stillness, the beauty of quiet observation, and the profound capacity of nature to heal and restore. I felt utterly safe, completely at peace, and deeply grateful for the silent invitation that had led me to such a sacred and transformative experience. The calm of the Dryad Queen's domain was now a part of me, a deep wellspring of serenity that I knew I could draw upon whenever the outside world grew too loud or too demanding. The moon has long since set, its silver light giving way to the softest hues of approaching dawn. The night has unfolded gently, carrying you deeper into a realm of profound stillness, guided by the unseen magic of the ancient Dryad Queen. Imagine yourself now nestled deeply within warm blankets, your breathing soft and even, a gentle rhythm that harmonizes with the quiet of the late night. Every muscle in your body feels utterly relaxed, heavy with peaceful slumber, sinking deeper into the soft embrace of your bed. The journey through the whispering woods has concluded, leaving behind only a profound sense of calm, a quiet peace that settles over you like the softest, most comforting blanket. Let any lingering thoughts gently drift away, like wisps of mist dissolving in the quiet morning air. There is only rest, deep and undisturbed, until the gentle light of dawn finds you once more. You are safe, you are warm, and you are utterly at peace. End of script. Good night.